Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 183, the return of Anderson Silva right now with our regular returning guest, Nick Diaz from MMAOddsBreaker.com. Nick Diaz, of course, is the best guy I could possibly want to have analyzing these lines. He is a professional MMA odds maker and a consultant for numerous sports books on MMA betting and booking, and also joining us, an MMA analyst, also from MMAOddsBreaker.com, Brad Tazchuk. All right, guys, let's get right into it. Anderson Silva, right? Is this fight at all bettable? I don't know. Obviously, Anderson Silva, if he's basically the same Silva of old, even at minus 450, which is the current line right now at 5 dimes, I guess that would be a side with value. But you know, if Father Time has caught up with him, and if he's you know, psychologically impacted by the broken leg, then there's no way you'd want to bet him at that line. Maybe you wouldn't even want to bet him at minus 200. Maybe Nick Diaz at plus 360 would be the side of value. Is there any way of figuring out which of those is the case here? I don't know. Brad Tazchuk, let's start with you. Is this line bettable?
I think it's bettable if you're betting on Nick Diaz.
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of question marks about Anderson Silva, obviously, coming into this fight. There's a lot of questions about Nick Diaz, too. But with Diaz, you know that he stays in shape, even when he's not fighting, you know, his triathlons and everything like that he does. So he's going to come in. He's going to be in good shape. You know, from all accounts, Anderson is supposed to be in good shape as well. But Anderson in his fights, he's got a bad habit of backing up to the cage and you know, trying to coax his opponents in to overcommit to strikes, and he'll counter off of those and see how things happen. But against Nick Diaz doesn't really overcommit to any strikes. So I think if Anderson gets himself in that spot where he backs himself up against the cage, lets Nick Diaz start to unload some of those head and body combinations that he throws, you know, we don't know where Anderson's chin at. We've seen him rocked in the first Chael Sonnen fight. We saw him rocked in both Chris Weidman fights, obviously knocked out in the first one. So if Nick Diaz starts to put some hands on him, I'm not sure how Anderson's going to react at this point with how he's aging and how that chin's looked lately. So if I'm betting anything here, I'm betting on Nick Diaz. And, you know, personally, I do have a small play on Nick Diaz by TKO. That was plus 715.
Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva coming off of 2 losses, but, you know, before that, he was obviously a side that would take public action, fight in and fight out. I know right now the line is minus 450, and earlier this weekend it was minus 400, so I'm sure some recent action has come in on Silva. But in general, how has the public been betting this one?
Yeah, a little bit more action coming in on Anderson Silva. You're absolutely right. And I mean, if this fight was a couple years back, I mean, the line would be ridiculous. It'd probably, you know, untouchable. So a lot has changed since then. I mean, the 2 losses to Weidman. I know the last one with the, you know, with the leg breaking, that was kind of flukish there in some regards. But still, I mean, let's not forget, if Silva is getting a little bit older, he's hitting that spot where he's almost 40 years old. So we're not sure, I mean, how much he does have left in the tank. So that is a big question. And I could totally understand all of Brad's reasoning that he just went over here. I mean, skill for skill, there's no doubt about it. Anderson Silva is the better striker. I mean, he's got the more knockout power. This is his natural weight class. You know, Diaz is moving up. So there's a lot of advantages here for Anderson Silva. But let's not forget, I mean, sometimes, you know, age kicks in and there's not much you can do about it. And that chin could be at the point where it doesn't take much. Even though Nick Diaz doesn't have a ton of knockout power, he definitely is the type of guy that, I mean, he brings a high pace, and he's going to be pretty accurate at times. So he could clip that chin and knock Silva out. So it's not out of question. I don't really trust it. And like you guys said about the mental advantages, I know that his leg is probably healed up well and it's fine, but at the same time, mentally, are you going to be wanting to throw a kick like that time after time again? I sure as heck would definitely consider not doing that. I mean, if that was coming in his situation there. So a lot of things to think about for this fight, and including, I mean, the layoff for Diaz as well. So this is a weird fight. This is a tough one to bet, in my opinion.
But you're saying that overall, the public has been favoring Silva so far?
Yeah, they have. I mean, a little bit. There's 2-way action on this fight, of course, and you know, both these guys have star power. Of course, Anderson Silva is, you know, the legend that he is, so he's going to get a little bit more public betting support in general, but both these guys are extremely popular amongst the diehard fans, and they always draw a decent amount of betting action. So the sports books aren't going to be exactly too heavy on this spot. It's going to be an okay spot. And they're probably going to need Diaz to come through and pull off the upset here in that regard. But it's a tough one. I mean, for me personally, like I said, I can understand exactly why Brad's taking a stab, and the way to go would probably be Diaz by TKO KO. I mean, if he wins a fight, I don't think he wins it on the scorecards. I think he's probably probably going to end up catching that chin possibly. Or if Anderson Silva wins the fight, honestly, I know Diaz is a hard guy to stop, but I mean, given the situation here and Anderson's powerful striking and his, counter-punching ability that you guys said, I mean, it's possible as well. So I don't see this fight really hitting the scorecard. Somebody's getting knocked out. And it's just tough to say who it is. Obviously, the advantages favor Anderson Silva. That's why he's a solid favorite. But with all those question marks surrounding it, it does make it tough.
And so just based on the action that you've seen come in Silva's previous fights, first of all, do you expect sharp action to come in on this one either way, closer to fight time? And where do you expect this line to close?
If there's going to be sharp action coming in on this fight, I think it's probably going to be on Diaz, and the line might drop a little bit because of all the question marks surrounding Anderson. And, there's some positive rumors about Anderson Silva's training camp, but there's also some negative stuff floating around as well. So who knows what's true and what's accurate? Only Anderson Silva and his crew and his, the guys that he trains with is probably going to be the most accurate making those kind of statements. But there's a lot to be said. A lot of rumors float around on purpose. Some people try to mislead others as well. So I think, we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. But I think if there's any sharp action at all coming in, it's got to be a dog or pass situation, honestly.
Brad Tazchuk, Nick Diaz by TKO at plus 715 was your bet. I like that one. What do you think about maybe a shot with the under? Right now, 3.5 minus 140 is the line at 5 dimes. That protects you also against an early finish by Silva.
Yeah, that could be a good option. The tricky part is that I think if Anderson gets a stoppage, it's probably early, and you probably cash that that under 3.5. But Diaz is that volume, that accumulated damage kind of striker. So even if he gets the TKO, maybe it is in round 4, round 5, just wears Anderson down. So I'm not sure from Diaz's side, but for Anderson, I definitely think that his stoppage would be early.
Brad Tazchuk recommending a long shot play on Nick Diaz with the knockout prop. Thanks so much, guys.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.